often can't define what a friend is. A true friend is simply a friend that is there when you need them. And if they're not there, they really matter. Harry and I go back. We lived in the same complex, I remember that. And I don't know whether I played with him during that time. I think I knew him before. I think I knew him before.
She has a right.
It seems to me. Oh, yeah. No, me.
And you probably say that too. But he didn't like that's what his besides history books he also has.
He was also managing funds for people, right? And I remember he liked to, you don't have enough money.
Well, but he no, it's farther back.
Yeah.
He was very practiced.
He took.
He had a very, it was very, he was very sensitive because he could see people doing things that he didn't.
Now, his family was in clothing business?
Yeah.
And did he not work there?
He did. And early on, he worked at, he was the buyer for the ladies there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll need you to help Will. Right there on the right. That's what it is. Thank you very much. Joseph, when he comes to the
Did you have a Labrador Retriever?
I have a Bernese Mountain
A
Dog.
Bernese dog. Oh, awesome.
He is awesome.
My business.
How does streaming work?
The temple website.
Yeah. Oh, so, so everything's recorded, or
It's recorded and it's also streamed on our website, which goes through YouTube.
so people see it?
Yeah.
How about speaking and things?
Yeah, so we have a sound system that picks it up.
Oh.
So I just haven't, I'm waiting for the coach to drive through and then I set it up in the middle here.
Oh, it's my sister.
But it's on now, there's people watching already.
Oh, sorry.
And one rover.
So, when it's over, can you watch it later?
Yes.
So just give the
Just go to, so the link that we sent out,
yeah.
if you click on that again, it'll take you to our YouTube page. It'll be the first video.
Okay. Because I have some friends that couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Okay. Boy, this technology is crazy.
It really has changed everything.
Yeah.
everybody. This is the hearse, the casket. So we're gonna back up here.
Or, you know what?
So let's all come over on this side where the chairs are.
I would have to go over there too.
Test 1, 2. I have.
You guys
Taking classes around. Jackie, can you tell me again the speakers? I know you sent it to me, but
Yeah.
it's on my phone. So you and your sister. Elena. So, can we go Jackie, Elena, and Arlena, and then Ty and me?
Jackie, Lisa.
Jackie, Lisa. Oh, sorry,
You can go
Lisa.
at the end.
Of course, yes. You want to go last? Okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
So Lisa go last, and Jackie, you're okay. Good afternoon, everyone. No, I guess it's not afternoon yet. Thank you for being here. Let me first say that if you are comfortable, you're not required to wear a mask outside. Certainly you can if you would like. And I would just suggest if you didn't come in the car with the people that you're standing next to provide some social distancing. You don't have to all stand in a row. You're welcome to scatter or stagger a little bit if you'd like. I do want to mention also that we are streaming the service, so if you do come up to speak, you'll be on camera and on the internet, in case you're concerned about that. Sinai, Hecharim, Me'ayin Yahbo Ezri, Sinai, Hecharim, Me'ayin Yahbo Ezri, Me'im Adonai, Ose, Shemayim V'aretz, Ezri Me'im Adonai Ose Shemayim V'aretz. I lift my eyes to the mountains, and what is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, the maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way, your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian, and God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and your coming now and forever. Amen. We would give anything to not have to be here at this moment for this purpose. But as it is as much a part of life, as death is much a part of life as birth, we know that we need to be here, that this is unavoidable. And if we need to be here, then these are the people we want to be here with. Those that loved Harry and that found his life to be a treasured gift, a blessing. In Jewish tradition, when a person dies, we say that their memory should be a blessing. Zichron livracha, that we should remember them for blessing. And what does that mean? It means that the memory of them becomes a lesson in our life for good. That the way that they lived their life, the instructions that they gave through their example, the kindness that Harry showed to everyone, the joy that he had for life and it was to be around him, that he shared with everyone, that becomes part of our life. And when it does, it becomes a blessing. We bury the body, not the neshama, not the soul, not the spirit. That dwells within each of us. It's passed on from him to us, and he was passing it on throughout his life. That exuberant smile, that joyfulness that drew people in, that wanted people to have him around, that kindness, that was him giving his neshama to each of you throughout his life. So it's not only in this moment that we receive it, but it's in this moment that we need to hold tight to it and capture it, cherish it for a blessing. Our tradition instructs us to turn to the writings of the Psalmists, writings that are attributed to King David, and to find in those ancient words of comfort and consolation in our present moment. I chanted one of those psalms just a moment ago. Another that is familiar is in your handout, Psalm 23. I'm going to ask Yosef to come up and to chant those words in Hebrew, and then we will read them in English. Amen. One minute. Sorry, everyone. I had the page. Here it is.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לו יחסר, פינות אשר ביצנה ממנוחות ינעלני, נפשי ישובב, ינחני במעל צדק למען שמו, גם כרק בגצר מוות, לא ירא כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן, לגט צורריי, לישנת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב החסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
So let's read together in the English the translation of Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. So I want to invite a number of members of Harry's family and friends to come up to share words and memories. A reminder that our mitzvah, our shlichut, our sacred purpose in being here is to not only hear these stories and to remember them with a sense of joy, but to hear them for the lesson that they teach, to draw the ikar, the essence of what Harry's life was, and to make it part of our own. And so we'll ask Jackie to come up first and to speak.
My grandma Lottie said my dad was the most beautiful baby in the whole wide world. And she may have been right until my kids were born. Is it okay to say that, Dad? My dad taught me about writing speeches for events. I'll never be as good at it as he was, but his advice on that, I think, was good life advice. make sure people feel good, and then add the humor. Of course, I didn't know my dad for the first 30 years of his life, but when I look at the pictures, I can see his personality coming through. The smile, the joy, the absolute love of life and the people in it. When someone asked him how he was, he'd say, "Wonderful," surprising the people who were expecting a fine thanks. But he meant it, and he could do the best rendition of Louis Armstrong singing "It's a Wonderful Life." He believed life was wonderful, and he made it so for all of us. He taught Lisa and I how to ride bikes. We tobogganed down hills in the snow, leaning back into him. He popped out from behind trees on Halloween to make us laugh. He showed us how to float in the waves out past the break in Hawaii. For a long time, I didn't think I'd be able to be a writer. I mean, I had a happy childhood. I didn't have any material. Of course, my dad would give all the credit for our childhood to my mom. "That's all Elaine. She did it all." But then she gives the credit right back to him. And maybe, just maybe, it was both of you. My dad was a great business person, family business, investment advisor. And now when I have a business decision to make, I think about what he'd say. Be honest. Take the high road. And if it's too good to be true, it probably is. If it's too good to be true, it probably is, except maybe in the case of love. 54 years with my mom were that good. Together, walking, shopping, visiting with friends, even every phone call with Lisa and me together. You've never seen two people think more about each other. My mom, who devoted so much love and brilliance to managing his care, and my dad, who held on tight to be with her. For my dad, his wonderful life was about the people. Multi-generational friends who are so close to their family. An extended circle in Edmonton. Old friendships that got rekindled for another 30 years in Vancouver. Friends he made playing bridge and walking around with the Colchena Green complex. His loving caregivers. His wonderful life was about his sons-in-law, Lee and Troy, and his grandsons, Milo and Emmett. He always said having daughters was the best, but you should have seen his face light up with the new guys in his life. Guys who could talk sports and play cards and appreciate good food with him. And with Chester Dog, Chester's antics could make him smile on even the hardest days. The last few years were challenging, but every day he appreciated chocolate, Haagen-Dazs ice cream. He'd go for a walk because he took my mom's advice and because he loved kibitzing with his friends and neighbors. And he'd squeeze our hands and let us know how much he loved us. Dad, we love you so much. And we know, all of us, how much you loved us too. We will always love you, and I promise that we will keep having wonderful days in your honor.
Elena?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? I'd like to say a few words on behalf of the Waisman family. My dearly departed mom, Gloria, my dad, Robbie, my brother, Howard, my aunt, Harriet, my cousin, Arthur, respective families, my husband, Ian, and our two daughters, Ava and Kira. Our families go way back. My mom and Elaine went to school together. They were friends growing up, and their parents were friends back in Saskatoon. They kept in touch over the years, and we moved to Vancouver, and then they ended up moving to Vancouver, and we ended up seeing them more. We saw them for some of the high holidays, other get-togethers, and especially for walks. Oh, we walked a lot. My dad it was like a ritual on the weekend to get together with Harry and Elaine, or as he often said, "How are you, Herschel?" Would come out of his mouth, and Harry would chuckle, and my dad would chuckle, and then the conversation always started. And before I had kids, and when parking was free in Stanley Park, remember those days? I would often go with you to Stanley Park with my dogs, and we do the trek around Stanley Park. And I could still hear Harry's voice every time we had a conversation about something that he hadn't heard. He'd go, "Really?" in that signature voice that he had. And I can hear him right now, followed by something witty or a joke. He had jokes, they would just readily flow out. We always had a great time, always. Thanks for all the good times and the memories. We'll miss you, Harry.
Okay.
Firstly, condolences to Elaine, Jackie, Lisa, Lee, Troy, and we can't forget Chester, the dog. Hard to sum up a long friendship in a few minutes, but I'll try. Harry was a kind and gentle man, and he was my dearest friend. I met Harry at a bridge table, and not long before that, we became good friends. Harry had a partner called Ernie, who at times at the table would get out of hand and rough and talking out. But Harry, he was just kind, and he did not like confrontation. That was his demeanor. He was just that type of person. However, after 7 years playing with Ernie, he had this rage inside of him. Have you ever heard or remember the movie called Network? Where Peter Finch was said, "I can't take it anymore." Well, that was Harry playing with Ernie. And that was the time when I got the chance to play with Harry. Just as a note, Sheila Sash told me to say a few words, and this is what she said about Harry. "You may say that I enjoyed playing bridge with him and loved his great laugh. Many memories meeting him at Starbucks in Hawaii. As you know, Harry handled people's money as well as he handled bridge cards. In the same manner, a Jewish-Chinese partnership was formed. We were young at bridge and wanted to make our mark on bridge. We talked about going on a bridge tour, playing in all these important bridge events. That's how excited we were. One day Harry came to me and said, "Ty, I can't go on this bridge tour." And I said, "Why, Harry?" "Well, I have 2 wonderful daughters and a beautiful wife. How can I give up my time playing bridge for them?" That is Harry, a man putting his family first and not bridge. I think Harry has more Chinese in him, and for we always went on Chinese food. And Elaine will remember that when we were in Hawaii, we went to the famous P.F. Chan's famous Chinese restaurant. We could hardly wait to go. But we did our homework. We made sure that we cut out the coupons for the discounts. That's what Chinese and Jewish people do. What I will remember about Harry was when my good friend told me that he had Parkinson's and could no longer play bridge with me. And I was sad. In the early stages, I would visit Elaine and Harry and somehow was tricked in cooking a Chinese stir dinner for them. On other occasions, we would have milk and cookies. From the time he had Parkinson's, I took the point of calling him every week. During that time, we usually talk about bridge, general things, and especially sports. Harry was a Blue Jay fan. He loved the Blue Jays. Later on, it got difficult to talk, but it didn't matter. Elaine would always say to me, "Ty, keep phoning because he looks forward to your call every week. You don't know how much it means to him and to me to hear your voice." Elaine, may I say, to you and your family, it was a privilege and a joy to talk to him, my friend. Our conversations were always a two-way street. I will always remember his laughter, his sense of humor, and I will miss talking to my friend every week.
Thank you, Ken. Lee, on behalf of Joyce.
It seems like I have known Harry all my life, but in reality, it's only been 64 years. We first met when I stopped to see my husband-to-be Fred in 1958 in Calgary after a summer at Brandeis Camp in California. The gang of Fred's friends, of which Harry was a key member, hung out with us in Banff. But the Friedman-Siemens connection went back much further than that. Friedman's and my husband's grandfather, Henry Goldberg, were early pioneers in the Edmonton Jewish community. And although Grandpa Henry moved to Calgary in 1912, the family friendship would remain inextricably bonded through 4 generations. My memories of Sunday breakfast with Harry's family in Edmonton are very clear. I had never had a steak for breakfast before. Harry was an usher at our wedding, and later, though we lived in Toronto and he in Edmonton, we visited regularly. We were thrilled when Harry met Elaine. Their wedding was an example of the strong ties that linked Canada's Western Jewish communities, and we were thrilled to be able to celebrate with them. Visit to Harry's Aunt Fan in Oakville, just outside Toronto, offered another occasion for getting together. Our kids loved their Uncle Harry, and we, with Harry and Elaine, celebrated many wonderful occasions together. When Jackie came to U of T, she became a member of the Siemens family in her own right, and she and Marcia became close friends with a shared interest in Asian studies. Just yesterday, I was looking at photos of Elaine and Harry at our granddaughter Erin's bat mitzvah in 2004. but I could take a photo album of any special occasion and find a photo of Harry. Jackie and Lee's wedding was one of the most beautiful and memorable that I have attended. And it has been those shared, joyous experiences that have bound us together, lo, these many years. Whether it was Harry at the walk-right, Harry playing bridge, or Harry taking enormous pride and great pleasure in his wonderful, smart, devoted, and caring daughters, Jackie and Lisa, their amazing partners, Lee and Troy, and his grandchildren, Milo and Emmett. And of course, there was always a smile for Chester. Harry took such pride in all of you, and you gave him so much joy. We talked about you all every Sunday. And throughout, there was Elaine at Harry's side in good times and the increasingly challenging times, offering love, support, and care. In the last years, Harry, Elaine, and I have FaceTimed every Sunday, talking and later mostly singing together. We all look forward to them. Indeed, our last conversation was only hours before Harry passed. But even then, with his body and his voice weakened, he still managed a response to my prods, filling in the words to "You Are My Sunshine" and "Blueberry Hill," and offering a smile, albeit faintly. At the end of our call, he sent the ritual kisses that we regularly exchanged across the ether as we said goodbye, little knowing that it would be our last farewell. Harry lived a rich and full life. Although in the end he faced severe challenges, with the support of Elaine, Jackie, and Lisa, good friends and devoted caregivers, he was able to make the most of his situation and to take pleasure in his wonderful family. Harry will be missed, but he lives on in our memories. His life has been a blessing. Harry, we love you.
Lisa?
As a baby, you do not get to choose your parents. But I really lucked out and had such an incredible family. My dad was such a wonderful father to me and my sister. He was loving, generous, caring, funny, and supportive. I'm thankful for every moment we spent together. When I think back on all the wonderful times we had together, I have had so many that it's hard to choose moments to describe. We grew up in Edmonton, and my dad celebrated the snow with me. He would snow blow the driveway and chop ice blocks, and he taught me how to chop them so I could build these giant forts. It was really amazing. And in the summer, he enjoyed the outdoors, relaxing in the backyard with us, and setting up our sprinkler system so we could go running through the sprinklers together. He took me to the stables so I could be with the horses, and he watched me ride, even though when I finally got him on a horse, he was terrified. So he took amazing care of his parents and was an incredible husband to my mom. He also was an incredible dog grandparent. When I adopted my dog 12 years ago and my parents came to visit, Chester came from a situation where he's not treated well, and he disliked adult men. However, when my dad came to visit Chester, he immediately bonded with my dad. And they created their own game where my dad would say, "Go sit in the bed," and then from a chair, he would roll a ball over, and Chester would take the ball back to my dad, and then run back to the bed and like lie down and wait for the ball to come again. And this was something they played together, and they immediately like developed this relationship that even I didn't have at this time. And over the past 10 years, when my dad was not feeling well, he was like still a gentleman throughout. And he worked so hard to be there for the family. As a result, he was able to meet my husband Troy and be part of our wedding. I only hope to be half the person that he was. And he will be forever in the hearts of all the people that met him. And that he touched, especially mine.
Thank you all for speaking so beautifully. Elaine, our hearts go out to you particularly. He was your partner, your soulmate, your walking companion, your traveling companion through life. We are all here for you, not only in this moment of most acute grief and mourning, but in all the moments to come. This circle of friends and family carries Harry's memory and his soul, his neshama, with them. And every time that you allow us in, so as not to isolate, you allow a part of him in as well. To the whole family, thank you for speaking so beautifully. Jackie and Lisa, it was such a fitting and wonderful tribute to your dad. And to friends, our tradition teaches that you should judge a person by those that they associate with. That that's the measure of a person's life, that you actually acquire 3 names throughout your life. The name that your parents give you at birth, the name that you make for yourself in the world and what you do in business and those kinds of things. And then the name that people who come to know you call you. And we say that one should have the crown of a good name, that all 3 of those names should be names that are of kavod, of honor and respect. And so if you judge a man or a person by those who they keep company with, we all get a tremendous sense of this remarkable man. One of the things that you shared with me when we were talking on the phone was how that even when Harry lost the ability to really speak or communicate very much, with a little bit of communication, a little bit of words that he had, he used them to make others feel good. He used them to share his appreciation for others. He used them to lift another person up, to make them feel good, just as you talked about with how one gives a speech. That humor is nice, but making people in the room feel good is most important. I just think that that is such a tremendous example and lesson from a life of how words so often that we use to hurt, how Harry used those words to help and to heal and to hold up. That's the lesson I'll take from the example of your father. I hope that we can all find lessons in the blessing of this man's life. Our tradition teaches us to turn now to 2 prayers. One that we'll say here and one at graveside. The prayer that we're about to recite is not in your handout. It's called El Malei Rachamim. It's the prayer for Harry's soul. I'm going to chant the words of that prayer, and I'll ask those who are seated, if you're able to rise, to please stand. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamitzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfecha Shechina, Im Kiroshim Utechorim, Kizochar Rakim Asirim, Et Nishmat Hershel Ben Yisrael, Shechalal Olamo, Baal Harachamim, Yastirechu, Besetek Nafad Olamim, ויצור ביצור חיים את נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר amen. Compassionate God, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Harry, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in your eternal presence in the shadow of your wings. Let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. And we say together, amen. We're going to go from here now down to the graveside. I'm going to ask those that are able to help me escort the casket. There are handles on both sides. It'll roll along the cart, or along the path on the cart. And then when we get to the graveside, there will be some active lifting involved. So please, if you're able to help us lift, please do so. Those that are watching online, we will bring the camera down with us as well. And you can follow behind us. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, ומבחינתו לישני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, ומבחינתו לישני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, ומבחינתו לישני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. Oh, put it down, put it down. Get on unscrew from there. To you? We're good. Step off the same. Friends, before we say the mourner's Kaddish, and you're welcome to fill in, we just don't stand on graves, but you don't have to stand only on the path. So although there is a grave right there, you're welcome to stand over here and over here. Before we say Kaddish together, and come in close. Make sure we don't block it. There's a poem on the inside of your handout, just below the 23rd Psalm. Sorry? when I die. When I die, if you need to weep, cry for someone walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around others and give them what you need from me. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands and souls touch souls. You can love me most by sharing your joys, multiplying your good deeds. You can love me most by letting me live in your eyes and not in your mind. And when you say Kaddish for me, remember what our Torah teaches. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that is left of me is love, give me away. The Kaddish prayer is on the other side. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'yalma divrach yirutev v'yamlich malchutev. V'chayachon u'yomechon u'chayeh l'chol beit Yisrael. V'agalau v'zman kariv v'maru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yit adar v'yit alev v'yit alal shemei l'kudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damin ron be'alma v'moru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'moru. Amen. Osei shalom b'romal. Huya asei shalom. Aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yakol yoshvei tevel v'moru. Amen. So friends, it's a commandment upon every Jew to have a Jewish burial, but not one that we can do for ourselves. And so we entrust it to our family and to our friends to be those gentle hands that carry us to our final rest. So I'm going to ask you all, those who are able to come forward and help fulfill this mitzvah. It is customary to place at least three shovels of earth to show the intention of this act. Often the first shovel is done with the shovel upside down, so the coved part is up, to show that this is not normal shoveling. And then the shovel is returned to its normal position for the rest of the placing of earth. And then to return the shovel to the mound so that each person can take it on their own instead of handing it to the other. There's shovels on both sides. I'll ask the family to come forward first. And we need to fully cover the casket with earth before we can leave the space. Thank you. So friends, there are shovels on both sides of the mound. If you could come forward and help us cover the casket. The pamphlet that you were handed, it's called Shemot. They're pages that have God's name on them. We don't throw them away. So unless you want to keep it, which you're certainly welcome to do, I'll ask you to place it in the grave so that we bury it as the proper Jewish tradition to do, and we surround Harry with these words of prayer. just over here in this corner here. Okay, thank you everybody, thank you. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, ve'imeru, amen. Yase shalom, Yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, Yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Hamakom yenechem echem batok shar avalei tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God console you in the morning, among the mornings, Zion and Jerusalem. We say together, amen. May his memory always be for a blessing. There's a Shiva Minyan tonight, 7 or 7:30. At 7 o'clock online via Zoom. Can't the Cohen will be reading Shiva. Thank you all. You're welcome to stay as long as you would like and to return to this place at any time. And when you do, the place is stoned to show that you visited. Thank you for being here. For those watching on